The Great Revenge, Trump's Orwellian America, takes shape. Now, there's some competition for the weirdest or worst or most dangerous or even deadly of the Trump executive orders that he signed on his first day. But one of them, for example, repealing Lyndon Johnson's 1965 executive order that said that any federal contractor for the federal government, any contractor providing services to the federal government, cannot discriminate based on race or sex. They just repealed that. So yeah, go ahead. Just post your hey, we're going to build a new government building or we're going to build a new detention facility. Just put your help wanted ad out there with whites only. Need apply. No problem. That's now legal. Another executive order he signed this week, I talked about it at some length yesterday, proclaims that men and women are assigned their birth at conception. Actually, at conception, we're either all women or all non-binary. Men don't appear until about 6 weeks after conception. But really, this was a way of laying the groundwork for fetal personhood, which I talked about yesterday. But the most troubling of the executive orders is the one with the Orwellian name, ending the weaponization of the federal government. It lays out a rationalization to investigate and then prosecute the investigators and attorneys in the federal government who looked into Trump's many ties to Russia and Putin. And then it goes after those who tracked down and imprisoned January 6th seditionists and who tried unsuccessfully, thanks to Merrick Garland's temerity, to prosecute Trump for his attempts to overthrow the 2020 election and to steal top secret nuclear and espionage secrets, which he allegedly then have made available to random foreign spies passing through Mar-a-Lago. This weaponization executive order makes clear right from the get-go that this is just pure politics and that it's not really about ending the weaponization of government. It's about beginning it. This is the opening paragraph of his executive order. The American people have witnessed the previous administration engaged in a systematic campaign against its perceived political opponents, weaponizing the legal force of numerous federal law enforcement agencies and the intelligence community against those perceived political opponents in the form of investigations, prosecutions, civil enforcement actions, and other related actions. Right. So the federal government's been going after Trump. Well, you commit crimes. Sometimes the people who are supposed to catch the criminals come after you. Appears to be what's going on. But they're arguing here that the alleged crimes committed by Trump and his supporters, including, fake electors and January 6th attacks and threats of violence against school boards, are just political differences, right? These actions appear oriented more toward inflicting political pain on Trump and his supporters than toward pursuing actual justice or legitimate governmental objectives. Many of these activities appear to be inconsistent with the Constitution and/or laws of the United States, including those activities directed at parents protesting at school board meetings, Americans who spoke out against the previous administration's actions, and other Americans who were simply exercising constitutionally protected rights. Now, it turns out that, the Justice Department did look into people who were trying to intimidate school boards, but they did that at the written request of the National School Boards Association. Hardly a hotbed of left-wing political activity. And the people who attacked the Capitol weren't just exercising their constitutionally protected rights when they killed 3 police officers and sent 170 others to the hospital. And then finally, we get to the third paragraph of this executive order, which kind of proves that every Trump accusation is an admission. In my opinion, what they're saying here is that this is what they intend to do, not what they really think Biden did. The third paragraph reads, "The prior administration and allies throughout the country engaged in an unprecedented third world weaponization of prosecutorial power to upend the democratic process. It targeted individuals who voiced opposition to the prior administration's policies with numerous federal investigations and politically motivated funding provocations which cost Americans access to needed services." Right. So, and then it wanders into the area of, just flat out lies and misrepresentations. The Department of Justice even jailed an individual for posting a political meme. Well, let's be very clear. The guy who posted the political meme was a guy named Douglas Mackey, who posted a picture of a black woman all over social media standing in front of a sign that said African Americans for Hillary. And it said, avoid the line, vote for home and text Hillary to 59925. Turns out almost 5,000 people did that. This was in Pennsylvania. He was trying to swing the Pennsylvania election in 2016. And, presumably those people didn't vote, and they were Hillary supporters. So he was imprisoned for election interference. I'd say legitimately so. It's also worth noting that it wasn't the Biden administration who investigated this. It was the Trump administration, although Biden ultimately put him in jail. But they started, the Justice Department started their investigation of Douglas Mackey in 2018. And then they go on to say and while the Department of Justice had ruthlessly prosecuted more than 1,500 individuals associated with January 6th, they simultaneously dropped nearly all cases against BLM rioters. Another just flat out, lie. The fact of the matter is that not only did the Biden administration continue prosecutions begun during Trump's last year in office of people who had, rioted or burned buildings or whatever during the BLM protests, the George Floyd protests, but they opened over 100 new cases, the Biden administration, and put more than 70 people associated with the BLM protests in prison for an average of 27 months. And at least 10 people got 5 years or more. So, apparently asking Trump to tell the truth or his people is just like, that's a bridge too far. So I think that what we're seeing, Merrick Garland, for example, made the decision, a rather pathetic decision, to keep both John Durham on, who was, investigating the people who investigated Trump's connections to Russia, and to keep on the guy who was prosecuting Hunter Biden. Those were both examples from the last Trump administration of actual politically motivated prosecutions. And now we've got, probably, in all probability, Pam Bondi is going to be the next Attorney General. Pam Bondi refused to directly say whether or not she would investigate Jack Smith. She avoided a direct answer when asked whether she would investigate Liz Cheney. She declined to rule out investigating Trump's political opponents. And she refused to condemn Trump's characterization of January 6th defendants as patriots, claiming incredibly that she was unfamiliar with Trump having ever said that, right? I think that the real goal of this executive order is to kick off the political prosecution of people that Donald Trump views as his enemies, particularly those who have power. Investigators, prosecutors. I just see this as the beginning of turning America into Hungary, or even worse, more like Russia. And it's very concerning. Is the Trump FCC going all in on punishing the television networks? Stay tuned.